The window to build an independent cannabis brand is closing faster than most of you are moving. In the next 12 to 24 months, most of the market share that's still available will get bought with speed, execution, and retail relationships. After that, you're not competing with other founders. You're competing with capital. And the thing about capital is it does not get tired. It doesn't get emotional, and it doesn't miss payroll. So if you're slow rolling right now, you're not being cautious. You're donating your future market share to someone who's already on the shelf. If you don't know me, I'm Chris. I've spent over 20 years in the wholesale industry. I've held one of California's early distribution licenses. I've built and sold a licensed grow, and I launched 2 licensed brands into over 100 licensed retail stores throughout California. I now teach founders how to launch and scale cannabis brands legally without needing a license. Faster, smarter, and with fewer costly mistakes. Keep in mind, according to JP Morgan, only about 9% of businesses will ever reach $1 million in revenue per year. That means most don't, and not because they can't, but because they never master execution, strategy, and discipline. I'm not here to guarantee that you'll be in that 9%, but I'm here to give you the blueprint, and whether you use it or waste it is all on you. And remember, we go over this weekly inside my Telegram and daily on my school channel. The links are in the description below. The reality of the timing. So right now, in the current market, it's a historic land grab. This is the phase where it's never happened before and it's never gonna happen again. So early positioning determines your long-term shelf access. And retailers are gonna prioritize proven sellers. Also, shelf space becomes harder to access over time, as well as consumer loyalty builds to certain brands. So waiting longer is really costing you much more than just the time and the money you're saving right now. Why California and New York matter. California is one of the most competitive cannabis markets globally. It has strong pricing pressure, it has sophisticated retail buyers, it has a high compliance complexity, it validates through operational strength, and the consumers out here are very knowledgeable. Now, as far as New York, there's a very strong brand storytelling environment out there. It's a very relationship-driven retail ecosystem, and early market positioning creates long-term advantages out there. So winning both states not only gives you national credibility, also distributor leverage, and a much stronger manufacturing negotiation power. Chapter 3, the expansion blueprint. And this is states such as Michigan, which has high sales velocity, strong operator networks, rapid real market product feedback, and consumers that know good weed, good cannabis. So it's a smaller market than California, but it's almost just as big. The next state, if you can get into it through the medical market, is Florida. And this is a large distribution scale because the state's so big and there's so few players. So if you can get in with a nice license holder, nice situation there, you can have a strong repeat purchasing market. You can be positioning for regulatory expansion. And Florida is a key state in the country. Besides that, there's a handful of other states to focus on, such as New Jersey, Massachusetts. There's also Delaware and Maryland. But you always want to look at population sizes to understand if that state is a good state to be in or not. Because when you compare it to New York or California and the populations that those states have, and then you go to a smaller state where it might only be 1 million, 2 million, 3 million people in population, you got to understand that whole population isn't going to smoke weed, only a certain percentages. So when you have a larger population such as California, even Florida has a big enough population, New York, Texas, these larger states have such a large population that the smaller percentage of smokers and cannabis consumers is much bigger than in a smaller state itself. So it's important to understand that just because you live in a state and it just so happens to be a smaller state, ironically, it might not be the best place to launch your brand, because you're going to have low sales, high competition, because these retail stores are going to be fighting for customers. The cost for a customer is going to be much higher than in these larger cities. So your chances of getting in front of more people, more sales, and getting on the shelves easier theoretically would happen in a larger population city. So that being said, if you live in one of these smaller states or these smaller cities, don't look at it like you have to start in that city. You can utilize these strategies remotely, in a sense, or at a distance. Once you get your team set up, you can run a lot of your operations, day-to-day operations, as long as you got the right people on the ground, from sales guys to brand ambassadors, and your supply chain partnerships are set up properly. You can run a lot of the brand operations remotely. And speaking of population, the next big move, the next big expansion is actually internationally. And this is a huge, huge play. And the reason why is a lot of other countries such as Canada, UK, Germany, Macedonia, Thailand, Australia, New Zealand. There's a lot of places that legalized it for medical, and it's nationwide medical there. And it's more official medical too. It's not like California medical. It's like where doctors have to prescribe it. The government's heavily involved in it. However, all these places don't necessarily grow the weed directly. So they're allowed to import it legally from other countries. And the way that's working now is America still can't export it legally to Europe or any of these other countries, but Canada can. So by working alongside cultivators up in Canada, cannabis can be legally exported out to these other European countries and these international countries such as Australia, New Zealand, and many other places. And I know people personally right now that are doing this, and some brands that I know directly that I'm friends with have already got their products out through the compliant channels, the GMP distribution channels. And it's something that I'm working on, getting genetics to cultivators in Canada so that we can get it out there too. We have a movement going on out there where people know about our brand because we've done events such as Mary Jane out in Berlin the past couple of years. So understanding this international market is really important too, and these same strategies apply but on different levels and different scales. So understanding how that fits into your rollout plan, both locally in your states or states close by to you, from California to New York, to then other states throughout the country, and then ultimately internationally. And this is all doable, it's all attainable, it's all possible, and it's not out of reach as long as you stay committed, stay focused, and continuously reinvest. Okay, next, a lot of people are wondering what's happening with Trump and Schedule 3, and what's that impact gonna be like? So ultimately, once that really takes effect, you can expect an increase in institutional investment money. They're going to be building out GMP facilities or upgrading them. Large operators that have already been operating are going to be shifting towards becoming acquisition targets for this big investment money. So they're going to want to see consistent revenue performance. They're going to be looking mostly at the top, 20-30% of companies in the market. So it's not everything that they're going to care about. Reliable supply chains too for your brands. So whether you own the supply chains or you're working with supply chain operators, being sure that you have a strong history with them and you have a strong agreement with them to keep those supply chain connections going. So some other key traits that make your brand an acquisition target is having some established retail presence and having strong reorder rates with those retailers. Also making sure your compliance record is clean, making sure you have no major infractions with the city or the state. And for brands that are planning exits, You must build your performance history early. You can't wait until you start getting investor interest to start taking it serious. That happens now so that you can be bought out in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. That track record is what they want to see. Next, let's jump into the shelf-winning execution framework. And this is where you want to hone in, dial down, niche down. We've all heard that expression. Hone in on one high-velocity hero SKU is what they call it. And that's your main SKU. That's like what we did with Blue Guava. And then you want a second SKU to truly just increase your basket size. So having another strain alongside that, another vape, another flavor, another product, and then having another one to really boost retailer confidence. And that's where I really look at the OG Diesel as doing that, because it's that anchor strain that retailers can rely on. They know old smokers to young smokers all appreciate good OG, especially a gassy OG Diesel like this. So these candy strains are more for a more niche demographic, but this, if you know anything about my brand, this is our flagship strain, and it's what our brand is. You could say it's what our brand is known for. It's most recognized strain of our brand. So you want to have a variety of these SKUs. You want to focus on less is more, especially in the beginning. Each SKU is a lot that goes into it. And when you have a lot of complexity with these SKUs, what happens is there's so many moving parts. You have delays, you have issues with costs, your cash flow, because you might have all these SKUs now, you have all these different sets of packaging, all these different packaging components, and people don't look at it like, oh, it's just a pre-roll. Yeah, but with that pre-roll, you need the empty cone with the paper, the custom printed cone, you need the tube, you need the child-proof tamper-evident seal on there, you need the sticker on the tube, you need the COA sticker with your test results on there. And that's the most basic pre-roll right there, and that's 6 pieces to that packaging ingredients list right there. So when you look at it like that, and when you get more and more complex, like say with certain types of vapes or certain boxes inside of this, and then that's inside of Mylar, and then that's sealed, and like all these different layers of packaging, for instance, every single touch point is another layer of complexity. So you've got to really take that into account, and that's why having fewer SKUs at first allows you to focus and just really hit a home run versus spreading your focus amongst many SKUs. Okay, next you need a good strategy to position your brand properly. And that starts by defining your target customer, your key demographics. You also need to have clear brand differentiation. You want a defined consumer outcome. You want to have a good distribution and retail strategy, and that requires having strong distributor partnerships in every region. You also want to maintain consistent retail expansion targets, and this means understanding what stores you want to continue growing your brand into. Another key thing that's worked really well for me over the years is bud tender education, and this is going to help reorders because they're the front lines, they're doing the sales for you to those consumers. Another big thing is having operational discipline, and this is an ongoing thing. It's just like in life, you're always going to be learning. You always got to keep yourself healthy. It's a never-ending thing. Same with operational discipline. There's always things you can refine. There's things you can do better. There's improvements you can make, efficiencies you can gain. So you got to treat your brand just like that. Every little tweak counts. Every little increase counts, but don't do it just to do it. And sometimes you have to understand, if you cut too many corners, you can break the whole machine. So it's not about being cheap, but it's about being efficient in the right ways. And the only ways to do that is to do things consistently over and over, collect data, understand that data, interpret it, and modify it and optimize it. So always be thinking like that with your brand, but don't cut too many corners to lower the integrity of your brand. Some other things that fall under operational discipline would be having your stable manufacturing relationships as well as your distribution relationships. You also want to keep compliance as a forefront in your brand, because by skipping over compliance, cutting those corners, it's just going to cause you major issues in the end and potentially get all your products recalled off all the shelves statewide. You also need to be in control of your cash flow management. And this is important because sometimes these stores need net terms, and you also need to order stuff, your packaging ahead of time before you might be collecting on these net terms that these stores are paying you, but you need to order more packaging to have it here arrived before that happens, or you need to go buy more raw materials to create another batch and get it into testing. Next would be core performance metrics to follow. And these are things like sales velocity per store, retailer reorder rates, account retention, net margins after any deductions or sales or anything like that. Also your inventory turnover rate. And finally, your cost per retail account acquisition. Okay, so let's jump in. I got a 30-day execution plan for you. And this is immediate actions you can be taking. So first off, conduct a brand performance audit. Understand where you're at with your brand, what key things you need to build out, especially with your brand foundation. And don't cut corners on that either. Your brand foundation is so important to the success of the brand and the success of actually creating an emotional connection with the consumer. And that's why consumers buy, and that's why you have loyal, raving fans, why you have raving consumers, why they come back for more, why they tell their friends. That's what you want. And in order to get that with any brand, not just cannabis, is to create an emotional connection with your target demographic. Moving on, you also want to get rid of any underperforming SKUs, any products that don't make sense to keep alive. Next, you want to keep refining your reliable manufacturing supply chain. Also your packaging partners, your production, anything that goes into making your products, from empty packaging to packaging it to testing it, you always want to be refining that. You also want to establish standardized compliant labeling systems. And this is for your COA stickers, as well as your master case boxes and any other relevant laws that your state may require, such as in California, we're supposed to put our license number attached to the brand is associated with. You have to put that on all the merch that goes into retail stores, even if you're giving that merch away. So if I want to give away t-shirts or rolling trays, stuff like that, I have to have the license number attached to that. In addition to having a standardized compliant labeling system mapped out, and the reason why that labeling system is important is because the retailers will reject your packages, will reject your orders if it's not done properly. And if it doesn't have certain QR codes, certain retailers aren't even going to take it. So the next part dealing with retailers is being sure to build a simplified retailer pitch deck. And that's really giving them a quick breakdown on what the brand's about, as well as the products you're offering and the details behind those products. They're also going to want to know pricing, the wholesale pricing to them, and anything else that may be included with that. Some other things you can do mapping out your brand right now is figuring out your pricing structure and your margin structure. And this is how much your cost of goods is, what your wholesale price to the retailer is going to be, how much margin that leaves for you. And don't be looking at it on a macro scale. That's what too many people look at. They say, oh, as long as I make this much, as long as I make 500 a pound, 600 a pound, it's good. But you actually want to make more than that. You want to target more than that, because you have to accommodate a lot of costs as a brand. And if you just squeak by just general profit margins, it's not going to be good enough. You need to target 30% minimum margins on all your products. You also want to collect sales proof, and this is going to be people trying your products, samples, testimonials. So that's powerful. People actually giving their stamp of approval on what it is you're offering. You also want to come up with your promotional strategy during this plan out stage. And this is, how are you going to get the word out there? What's your strategy going to be behind that? You also want to figure out some weekly sales metrics, some weekly sales targets. How many retail doors are you going to contact? How many new accounts are you going to target to open? How many reorders from the existing accounts are you targeting? How many bud tender training sessions and PADs do you have completed? So these are all important metrics to keep track of. The next thing you can get started on is your operational infrastructure. And this is building your structured sales pipeline And you can create SOPs for samples, for delivery logistics, for returns and credit handling, for retail communication systems. And these are all important. How are you going to reach out to the retailers? How are you going to maintain communication? Who's going to do that? What are the trigger points? What are the touch points going to be? So these are just a few things to think about as you're rolling out your brands. I wish you the best for that. And if you want help building this correctly, I break this down daily on my school page, on my school community, and we also have a Telegram page as well. And remember, you can book a call with me directly below. Use the link, it's a free brand building link down there, and book a call with me. After you watch the 30-minute video there, it breaks down the entire brand building process without having to own a license. And ultimately, my goal with this channel is to help 1,000 independent cannabis brands reach $1 million in annual revenue. And collectively, it's gonna allow us to take $1 billion in market share away from the corporate operators. So click the links below. Thanks for supporting the content, and best of luck with your brands.